As is typical in my videos, the minute I film, you either get a motorbike or, in this case, a moped going past. It's one of those universal laws of physics. Oh yeah. I know it's not quite classic car show concourse stuff, but I don't use it to go to classic car shows, I use it as a normal everyday car. Hello, welcome to Rusty Bottom Workshop. First of all, I have to apologise, I'm full of a cold. Let's call it man flu, let's get the excuses out now. So if I sound like I've been doing karaoke all night singing Barry White numbers, I'll promise you I haven't. So maybe later on I might have to voice over this video when my voice gets a bit better. If you recall, around Christmas time, Fiat had a little breakdown. It's nothing major. Unfortunately, work has got in the way and it's just been quite demanding, and things at home as well. But it's a Saturday, the sun is out, it's the end of April, and I'm going to just see if I can get on with it and get it repaired. Right, so the first thing we have to do before we start any work is disconnect the battery. Now the Fiat's standard negative earth setup, so the earth lead or negative is connected to the bodywork. The Bentley on the other hand is positive earth, so it's the other way around, just to confuse you, but we're doing the Fiat today, so let's not worry about the Bentley. So in this case I'm going to use this is a 12mm nut, which is a really weird size, but there you go. So I'm just disconnecting that, put it out of the way. There you go. Now that's dead, so the car's dead, and now it's safe to carry on and do the rest. Right, so I've got my tools out. Ones I normally have with me and ones in the garage. The ones with me in small toolbox, which I normally keep in the car, they're the most common size I need for the car. Also, I keep going on about old curtains, especially the really horrible 70s, 80s ones, whatever they are brilliant, they're indestructible. Put them underneath, because you guarantee nuts and bolts are going to fall down, and they're easier to find on this than trying to find on a drive or grass or whatever. Get yourself some nitrile gloves, protect your skin, have something to kneel on, it's going to be a few hours. And the great thing about this car is they designed it so you can take the engine lid off, so you can get to everything. So we'll do that first of all. I put a dome nut on there just to finish it off, and a couple of plastic washers so it can protect the paint. One thing I would recommend, I need to get a little biscuit tin or something just to put the nuts and bolts in. When you take things off like this, put the nuts and bolts back on it so you know where they are and you don't lose them. Now to take this out, you just lift it forward. There's a cable you have to disconnect in here as well to the rear lights, and a little cable to stop this falling down. And that just pops out, he says. On the camera it never does. So that little cable there, I'm not sure we can see it. Keep this upright, slide it to the left, and it just pops out. The dynamo here is stuck. Now there's nothing wrong with the dynamo, I don't think. What's happened, I don't know if you can see in there, these two bolts that hold the dynamo to the fan shield have sheared away. Now I've repaired these when I got the car, and I've since bought a replacement shield, and I'm pretty sure this is an aftermarket cheapo copy because the metal's so thin, but the replacement second-hand one, it's really thick metal. So that's the idea, is to take this off with the dynamo and the fan, remove the fan, off the dynamo and fit a new shield, and I hope that's all it is. Of course it's going to take me a few hours, but this is the joy of classic cars. At least it's sunny, and it's not my only car, which is what was always the case with my cars, old or new. It was my only car I had, and I needed it for work on the Monday, so there was a lot of pressure. But this one's a nice thing to play with instead, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to have to do is disconnect the positive and negative cables on the dynamo. I'm going to have to move that's the fuel pump, that's going to have to come off as well. I have to move it out of the way. This is an air filter, I like to take that off just about there. It's just to get access to the back, because if you can see, you can maybe see the pipe there, that big pipe, that needs to come out. That's an air pipe, that needs to come out, and to get to that I've just cable tied it on back rather than Jubilee clip, because it just takes forever to try and get that done. But with a cable tie it's quicker, and you can just cut it off, put a new one on when you need it. Not sure if I need to take the accelerator cable off yet, which is this thing, but we'll see. Now, I fitted this about 6 months ago, so everything's all new. These are 11mm nuts and bolts that need to be undone, and effectively I'm only taking this front panel off. Unfortunately it's a bit more than that. They've got this massive bolt holding the dynamo in here. Go underneath. Maybe see there's another bolt there that I need to undo. And we'll take it from there, and I'll just open. I don't need to take the rest off. I did take all of this off when I was doing this last year. Also cleaned it up and gave it a lick of paint, but I'm hoping I won't need to do that this time. Right, so I've taken all the 10mm nuts and bolts that hold this panel at the front here away. This is all loose, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to take the air pipe off the back and try and unscrew the fan from that side to try and release the dynamo. See what happens. Oh yeah.
You alright?
Yeah, thanks. And that's what this pipe looks like. That's what it looks like at the back. So the nut that holds the fan on to the back of the dynamo, which currently is seized, is a 17mm. So I've managed to get a 17mm socket on there, and I'm just going to try and undo it. Now, because it's seized, it's actually locked in position, so it's making it a bit easier for me to get the thing out, which is good. And that's what it looks like. That's a big one there, isn't it? I'll put that safe. The fuel pump out of the way again. Look, this is turning now, so that's good. Oh, yay! That's free to come out. Oh, thank goodness for that. Whew. So it sits onto the back of there, so I don't know what's happened. Right. Oh dear, that's a bad one, isn't it? So that's the fan there, and this is what's happened. These have come away. These are the two bolts. As I said earlier, I've already refurbished this, it's obviously really weedy, and it's jammed there. So I'm hoping I can just lift this out, otherwise I might have to take some more of these out. Also, you get all your spare nuts and washers that are falling down there, which you always do. Okay, so this is the part that I need to remove. It's just this metal housing, it's called tinware. I'm hoping I can just lift it out without having to take anything else off, although I've got a bad feeling I'm going to have to unscrew that. It's not a big deal, it's just more work that we don't need. Alright, fingers crossed. Well, I'm hoping when I come out it's going to have to come out. I'm just undoing this just bracket for the dynamo, and it's just 4 13mm knots. Go, that's come out. And as I said, I don't know if you can see, the earth strap, I just bolted it to there and it's out of the way. I've put a bit of insulation around there just so it doesn't rub on anything, and I need to catch all the little nuts and bolts that are falling down here. Right, let's hope it can come out this time. Oh, it's out. Yay. And that's what's happened. The fan's jammed on this weld has come away. This is just cheap rubbish. It must be a repro, it really must. And this is what it looks like here. That's the fan. Oh, the fan's alright, I don't want to buy a new one. Oh no, it's survived. Yay, good. So if you're interested, this is what it looks like the other side. So this is the other cover on the other side, and the fan is, the air is sucked in from here, from the vents, down that big fat pipe, into there and into here, and this blows cold air over the engine. It looks like a motorbike engine. Well, I'm a motorbike expert, but a smart little design. I like it. Alright, that was the easy bit. Let's get the new panel in. Put the fan in there because that needs to go in first, and then this, just dropping it in there and hoping it's going to fit. We'll see. Oh, well, that was a lot easier, wasn't it? Fan in the back. And this has to go behind there. So how am I going to do that? Well, that was lucky. All I had to do was take that one bolt out, just to loosen that enough to get this to pop in. I've put the little 10mm nuts and bolts all the way underneath where you can't get to them when they're starting with the dynamos in the place, so I thought I'd do it now. That's still loose, thank goodness. Let's try again. Don't forget the spacing washer on the end of that. That's really good. In that case, I'm going to put the nut and the cap washer on the other side now while I can. I just put a screwdriver between those two bolts to lock this into position. So I've got to fit nuts and washers onto these studs. They're going to hold the dynamo on. These are the things that they just keep working themselves loose. It's terrible. So I've got stainless steel washer there, and I've got nylock nuts. Some M6 nylock nuts. These are M6 bolts. I'm going to do the same for the other stud on this side. So stainless washer, M6 nut, nylock nut, make sure it's the right way around, where the nylon bit, the blue thing, is in this case is sticking out this side. Catching. I think that'll be okay. Right, I'm going to put the rest of the bolts on here, make sure this is on tight, and then we'll readjust everything again. Right, these are back on. These are only loose for now because I'm going to need to put the clamps on the fuel pipe. Right, so this is a petrol pump. There's a little gasket there. Put that on. It's a washer, spring washer, and a 13mm nut on both sides. Don't over tighten these. Don't over tighten any of these. Just be careful when you're doing stuff like that. Right, I've just made some simple brackets when I was doing this. So I'm going to bolt everything back on again. Right, fuel pump's back, held in position there, goes all the way around. This isn't normal. Normally what they do is the fuel pump runs this pipe straight over here into the carburettor, but I don't like the fact that this side's the hot side, this side's the hot side with the exhaust, this is supposed to be the cold side, but the problem is this is sometimes quite close to there, and I think it's a bit too much of a fire risk, so position the petrol pipe on this side and have it running all the way in that way. Also, you can get kits with plastic petrol filters like these, and they put them here right near the hot exhaust. I'm just not happy about that at all, so I'd rather, and this is a glass and metal one, and I've put it on this side. The good thing about having this is you can actually see if it's pumping fuel or not, if there's a problem, if it won't start, but keep it away from the hot part. Right, so that's that. This fan's catching a little bit, but I haven't adjusted this properly yet. So next thing is to clamp the dynamo, and it's held on with this thing onto the mount, onto this bodywork, so we'll give that a go next. On the other side is adjusted with a bar there that's got a threaded hole that you put the bolt through. So push that on there. This car has a really bad habit of shaking itself loose. All the issues I've had with it have all been just because nuts and bolts have shaken themselves loose. I know it's an air-cooled engine, and I know they do tend to shake a bit more than water-cooled engines, but in all the years I've been driving VW Beetles and vans, I've never had anything like that happen to them. Not saying VW Beetles are a better engineered car, but personally I think VW Beetles are a better engineered car, if a little bit over engineered sometimes. What this excels in is how much you can get in such a small package, and because obviously after the war Italy and a lot of other countries were short on materials, they had to make do with what they had. So in that respect, this car is an amazing achievement, and I love it to bits. Not just because it looks cute, but it does help that it looks cute. And put this bolt on underneath. Now this is the one you actually use for adjusting how tight this is attached to the car. Right, so I put everything back, all the nuts and bolts. I'm just putting the dynamo connections back on. I always try and use stainless steel washers and things like that when I can. So put one on the bottom, one on the top, a spring washer or a star washer, and then the nut on the end. Always keep these clean if you can, because the trouble with old cars is you get oxidization on all the connections, and you're basically losing electricity to resistance, so which you don't want. You want to keep as many of those volts as you can and amps as you can. Again, don't over tighten these things. This didn't come with any insulation on this, which is slightly dangerous, I would say. So I bought some of these insulators off eBay, I think, just for protection. In fact, I've had to go around the car and do quite a bit of that. Right, that is that. I'm still not 100% sure of that fan. I can hear it binding a little bit, but let's get it, see if it'll get it running. and then I might invest in a new fan actually. But anyway, right, now I've got to put that stupid pipe back on. The best way I found of putting this pipe on, put it down on there first, put your arm in, and you can feel where the actual rubber pipes fitted onto the metal tube, and then try and put it on this one. Try not to break it like I would normally. There we go, it's on. And now I've just got to get a couple of cable ties. I'll put them on that one and on the other one. What pain. There we go, and then put them around there. I know it's not quite classic car show concourse stuff, but I don't use it to go to classic car shows. I use it as a normal everyday car. And plenty of people can show off their fancy motions if they want. I use mine for what it was designed for. Right, that's that one, and then the same for the one at the bottom, which is the one that's actually hardest to get to, but let's give it a try. Right, last thing, it's an air filter. It's quite advanced really. Most cars of this period were still using oil baths. And the cover for the air filter, which goes on there with these clips. There's a little moulding there that needs to make sure that's centralised. Okay, and just pop that onto there. Clip at the back, clip at the front. Suppose we better put the spark plugs in, haven't we? Actually, while we're on the spark plugs, that's what a spark plug looks like. There's one there, and there's one on that side because it's only a two-cylinder engine. This one in the 500. And we'll put this one back on there. It just clips on. It's just like a spring inside. There's a spring clip. Push it in so it clips on. The rubber around it is just to keep the air that's been blown over the engine, keep it over the engine. This one goes on the other side, same thing. In the middle, here it clip, that's it. Make sure you push that rubber in. I think that's it. Oh no, it would help if I put the fan belt on, wouldn't it? So we'll do that next. Right, fan belt. So what's the fan belt? It's one of these, and that goes over that pulley over there and then onto the dynamo. I've just undone these nuts at the front. I'm going to take this off. These are spacer washers. Make sure you keep the same amount on the front, and then there'll be some in the middle as well, and that just widens this pulley to take up any slack in the belt. So first of all, you run the belt over the flywheel there, and we'll put it on that. put this end of the pulley wheel in there, and then these spare spacers in the holes like that. And as typical in my videos, the minute I film, you either get a motorbike or, in this case, a moped going past. It's one of those universal laws of physics. Right, so I'll put a spring washer on first. And I'll treat it to some new nuts, because I'm really good like that. Right, these need a little squirt or something on there. I've been sat here since Christmas, not moving. Remember, clockwise to tighten up, anti-clockwise to unscrew. Ooh, looks a bit. And it's also the law for these things to drop. Thankfully, they put a little engine shield underneath to help with the airflow and keep the engine from getting covered in rubbish. And that's great because it collects all the nuts and bolts and God knows whatever else that always seems to fall, always, especially on this car. I think because everything's so small on it, it's really difficult sometimes to stop things like that happening. Anyway, that's why I put the curtain underneath, as I've said before. It just keeps everything there, stops you losing it. Right, so I've got a little 10mm ratchet spanner. Thankfully it just fits. I'm going to tighten these up equally. I'll try and tighten them up. That's about right. Now, you don't want that any tighter than that, you want a little bit of play in there. And that's it. Oh, I can't believe it's actually done. Oh, put that pipe back on. That's just an oil breather pipe, and I'm just gonna tie that to there. I keep meaning to come up with a better solution, but for the time being, cable ties will have to do. If it's good enough for everyone else, it's good enough for me. And that's it. That's the engine done. Let's see what happens, eh? Reconnect the cable clamp. So pop that on. Oh, pop that on there. I suppose it's been sat for about 3 or 4 months now. I suppose really I need to top the battery up, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it will start. charge it up later on. That's all nice and tight, that's good. Everything's on. Put the cover back on. Well, there we are, foiled by man flu. That's my excuse anyway. I've ordered a new fan, hopefully that'll turn up next week, which means I'll have to take all that lot out again and do it all again, but at least I know the engine works, everything else is fine. There doesn't seem to be any other damage, so hopefully back on the road soon. Catch you later, bye.